Hi everybody, this is Odd Samurai and today I'm going to be reacting to Chainsaw Man, chapter 208. But before that, let's talk about 207. But, you know, how do I say this? Like, I feel like some of the things I'm cautious about, they might, depending on how the story continues, the Fujimoto will prove me wrong in regards to how Asa's character will be handled. So let me start off by just reading a reply that I gave to someone in the comments last video. So first, so with Asa saying you're dumb so you have to think, I said like, oh, that reminds me of a past chapter where she said you don't have to think. And I thought it was gonna be 116, but since I didn't find it, I just gave up. But no, I was right. It's actually chapter 113. It's right, I think, when Denji realizes that they're stuck at the aquarium because of the Eternity Devil. And because Asa says that, he's like, ugh, I don't like that. I'ma just go off on my own and try to figure this out. Because, well, that was, as I could not have known, but that was an echo of what Makima told him after Aki died. So, this, in page 3 of this chapter, it shows how Asa has changed in the way that she sees Denji and herself as well. She was like putting on a bravado, basically, a tough front, and like, if you leave it all to me, it'll be okay, basically. That's what she was trying to do back then. But now I want to believe that she's saying, like, you also have to think, because I cannot do all of this by myself. We have to work together, as a team, instead of the one person doing all of the work. But yeah. So I want to believe, or I want to hope, that the reason she's still so hung up on saving Denji is because of her whole thing was like, if I save Chainsaw Man, or, now that she knows Denji, then that means she can also be saved. And everything that she's done up until this point, she can justify it by being like, well, if I save Denji, then that means all of that I thought were, errors or bad judgment. Well, that's all validated if I save Denji. And that all comes from Yuko, which, Yuko is so essential on understanding a big part of Asa's motivation. Her effect on Asa is so overlooked, but it's so palpable in her relationship with Denji. She wants so badly for her journey up to this point to be validated by saving someone else, because, like, if he can be saved, then surely she can too. She thinks it'll all be worth it if it means she's capable of that. But yeah, it's dangerous for her to put so much value on the mental or physical state of someone else. At this point, her need of this is so strong. She's kind of ignoring herself, even though when we met her back in like chapter 98, when she was killed by the girl, the class president girl, she was like, I wish I had been more selfish. And I don't think neither her or Denji can be happy together. There's just way too much uh, emotional complications, both that Yoru has created, but also just from the beginning. I don't think Asa and Denji were ever gonna mesh well together on the long run. Both have been too much, but have been through too much trauma that they're not even able to talk about it, even if Yoru was out of the picture. And both are not seeing each other for who they are. So I also hope Asa eventually realizes she does not have to save Denji to prove to herself that it's okay for her to live too. Yeah, so basically, it's not Asa's responsibility to give someone else happiness, you know? She herself, that should be her priority, worrying about her own needs and wants. So that's why I'm a little cautious about her saying, I'll make you happy, Denji. I don't want her to focus too much on Denji himself and forget about her own personhood in the process. You know? So, but yeah, like her saying like, we're superheroes, aren't we? I do think it's important that she doesn't say, you are a superhero. Because, you know, Denji being Chainsaw Man, which I'm still also like, you know, because Chainsaw Man for Denji has brought him excitement, but also a lot of pain. And that just makes me think, you know, like, I don't know how close we are to the end of part 2, but I just wonder if Denji not being Chainsaw Man by the end would be considered a good thing or not. But I do think, you know, like, even if being Chainsaw Man has brought Denji pain, at this point it's so, it's such a core part of him, you know, in regards to his identity, that it's hard to see him being able to abandon it completely. But if he is gonna continue being Chainsaw Man, is like he shouldn't just continue being as how he's been doing it, you know? He should take what Fire told him to some account. He shouldn't just go out there because he wants affection that he can't get from a family that he's lost. He should do it because both it makes him feel good, but also to help others, just like Pochita helped him, you know? And not just disregard what other people are going through and, you know, think about what the consequences of his own actions could be. He cannot just keep shrugging it off and ignore it. He has to feel it. But yeah, Asa also wants to be a superhero. And we saw a little bit of that with her when she was being the church's poster girl. But I would guess that her want of that, outside of what I already said from like the Yuko influence. It comes from a similar place that Denji's own desire of wanting to be Chainsaw Man comes from. She doesn't have many true, genuine connections with others, so she's trying to fill it with the admiration of strangers. But yeah, we'll see, you know, it doesn't have to be fully negative or fully positive. It can be nuanced. So yeah, we continue on. Yoru uses her tank arm to make this long ass rifle thingy. And considering all of Yoru's weapons are made of guilt, I think it's interesting that Denji says it's too heavy. Because obviously, you know, from like a literal standpoint, of course that thing is heavy. But, you know, metaphorically, he's basically saying the guilt, just like the guilt that the gun is made out of, the guilt that he's feeling from what happened to the Fire Twins is still too heavy for him to bear. But yeah, Yoru uses a lot of her weapons, some of which we've already seen before. And, you know, they injure Falling, but then she heals herself every time. And then we end with a shot of all the weapons that Yoru threw in the ground. So, I guess if a sword isn't broken, she can always bring it up again, which, yeah, this is the first time we see that. Okay, next chapter. I haven't seen anything from it, I'm not spoiled, so let's go. Titled, Change My Mind? Alright, we'll see who's saying that about what. So, the long-ass gun falls to the ground. Both Yoru and Denji also do that as well. He says ow as they're looking at all the weapons stuck on the ground. And then they both look up. Satisfied? I don't know what Yoru thought she was gonna do. But yeah. This is such a cool page though. All the swords are basically all around, just outlining Falling. Damn. The fear of falling awakens in all living things the moment the first gain awareness. War is but a concept created by humans. You could never hope to best me. I said it like a little condescending, but really I just feel like Falling is just saying that like matter-of-factly. Damn it! You know, I do like seeing Yoru seething. I can see you still intent to interfere. I'll have you two sustain minor wounds. Yeah. Well, okay, sure. She can command those weapons as well. I don't... She said all living things, right? Fear falling. But she didn't say anything about inanimate objects, which we've seen with the buildings she can do, so... What's up with that? I'm already wounded on the leg. Say what? Yeah, from when she was trapped on the rubble? That's also a cool panel of like Falling doing this, like commanding all the weapons to go after them. Okay, then just carrying Yoru as they flee from the swords. Asa, Yoru, a motorcycle. Make a chainsaw motorcycle. Right, like the one during Falling's introductory arc. That's a first, though, that Denji has used Yoru to refer to, you know, the people, both of the people living in that body right now. And, you know, it is a very small, like, you know, Yoru's face is very small, as well as Denji's in this panel. But it does look like Asa is back in control. Like, you know, like, what does this mean in regards to how Denji sees them? That he's now calling out to both of them together. Like, I do that as well, but that's just for simplicity's sake. Like, I just hope that Denji's not, like, trying to treat them as the same person. Or just basically saying, like, whoever is listening, you know, Asa, Yoru, please just, you know, give me a motorcycle. But hey, I don't know if this is an improvement, but at the very least, he's trying to include Asa now in whatever is happening in the current moment. I don't see any. I need a motorcycle to make a motorcycle. Okay, the sword's still going after them. Bang, bang. It's not super clear. Like I said, the first panel of page 6 doesn't look like there's any scars on her face, but we haven't seen a close-up. Well, okay. The first panel of page 7 makes it clear that it is still Yoru. They keep coming. Crap. I'm not sure if Asa was in control for like a few seconds, or if, you know, it's an art error and that was still Yoru in page 6. They keep coming. Crap. Alright. They got kind of trapped. They went inside a building where a guy is. You cannot just come in here. Oh shit. Well, I hope that guy doesn't die because they just got here. One of those is definitely going towards him though. Let's see. Oh! And the swords stopped right before they got to Yoru and Denji. Oh. Unless that was just a shot of them before the swords got through them, because as we see in the next page, 2 of those swords went all the way to the other side of the building and went through it. Okay, that guy seems to still be alive. Both Denji and Yoru are breathing heavy and sweating as they barely manage to get out of the way. Well, not even though. I'm not even sure how they managed to dodge that. I'll use my ultimate weapon too. Sure. 2? Oh. I'm nervous. Yoru just put her hand, specifically her left hand, on the top of Denji's head. And we all know what that means. She's gonna try and make him a sword. Oh, ee. Okay, I guess we all know Yoru's pretty, that's a big thing with her being very compulsive. Am I using that word right? Compulsive. Yeah. So she just does things on a whim. Because I was like, oh, maybe she never intended Denji to live after killing Death. But I think this is just Yoru feeling cornered from uh, because of falling. Oh man. Yes, we've seen it not work before, but I speculated that it was because she couldn't do that to a hybrid, but it could be also because she didn't actually see him as her property before. But what if she can now? Oh god. Denji looks a little confused and is still sweating with his mouth open. I want to say that's still Yoru, but we cannot see the scars clearly. We can only see one of her eyes though. And as much, fun she gets out of treating Denji like her dog. If she sacrificed her own children, she would not hesitate to do this to Denji, so let's see. No! Asa! Yes! Denji looking still confused because he has, I'm guessing, like, he knows that she can make weapons. He's seen her do that already. But I'm not entirely sure if he knew exactly what Yoru was about to do. I mean, Yoru literally told him, like, if you don't kill the Death Devil, I'm gonna turn you into a weapon. But still. Denji, run away! Yoru, she wants to turn you into a weapon! Let's see what he says. Huh? Yo, this random guy must be so lost. Ooh, yo, look at Denji's expression as he's processing what Asa just told them. Because he genuinely believed that Yoru liked him. But now, if she's willing to do that, then in his mind, yeah, she was completely ready and willing to basically kill him. And it seems like he's trying to grapple the idea once again that someone he thought had genuine positive feelings for him, it doesn't actually care at all. I really like his expressions here. Go ahead. If it will lighten my sins a little, I'm okay with it. Denji, no! I should have expected that though. Like, Denji was still feeling quite suicidal. last chapter, and just because Asa told him some hopeful things, that did not make it okay this quick, you know? They're just still grappling and trying to deal with all the guilt that fire and falling just dropped on him. So yeah, he's still feeling like complete shit. That sucks though. And Asa's reaction too, like she's so bewildered by him saying that. Because I'm guessing she thought she had made at least a little bit of difference in regards to how Denji was feeling in 207. Come on, turn me into a badass weapon. Denji. Let's continue reading and see what Asa says. You can't! And now Yoru's back on pilot mode. Or back on the pilot seat. Shit. Well. Shit. Oh. If she wasn't hesitating before, now she isn't now. Puts her hand back on his head. On second thought, I'd rather not. Denji looks confused as he just goes, duh? Understandable, I'm also a little confused. I guess she's more attached to her dog than I initially thought. An axe comes through the building as well as other weapons. Ooh. I'm glad that random guy didn't get sliced in half. Just a few cuts here and there. Yoru though. Her brain got definitely perforated. Perforated? Is that a word? Been using the dictionary, but hey, I need it, okay? Meaning, yeah, she was perforated by what it looks to be a spear with a spirally end. You know, if it was Fumiko, I'd be like, oh my god, yay. But, you know, like I said, that's why I'm like, yes, I want Yoru dead, but that means if she dies, then Asa dies. So I have to wait for it to have a solution where we can separate the both of them. I don't know. It kind of feels like this would be an anticlimactic way for Yoru to die as well. So I'm gonna guess that something is gonna happen. I don't know why. Sorry, I don't know how. That's gonna make it possible for Yoru to survive this. Like, I really wish she could just die. And we have Asa instead, but there's been too much build up for Yoru to not be main antagonist, or rather the final antagonist of part 2. So that's also why, like, I prefer a more climactic end to her character, kind of like Makima did, you know, with having a proper final fight against her. But yeah, let's say she died, right? It would also be. I'm not saying like Fujimoto's trying to make her look good in what would seem to be her final moments, but that would definitely leave a bad taste in my mouth, you know? Like, I really don't want it to be like, oh my god, Fujimoto was trying to have Yoru trying to redeem herself and then she died. Like, I really hope that's not what was going on with her changing her mind. But let's say I'm not a fan of how Yoru gets portrayed as this cutesy, besotted girl, even though she's sexually assaulted Denji at least 3 times. So yeah, that's why it would feel weird. But hey, at the same time, you know, just because Yoru acts like that, that doesn't mean that the intent is for the audience to feel any kind of pity for her. I'm hoping that's the case, but I'm wary. I'm wary. Like, I would just, you know, vomit if it's something like, oh my god, you know, Yoru's just discovering romance for the first time and she doesn't know how to deal with that. Fuck that. I'd be so upset. So yeah, like, that's my, you know, initial thought. But, you know, with hindsight, I could change my mind, if you will. But yeah, Man, I really, really wish that we had stayed with Asa after she told Denji to run away. Because I really wanted to see what she would say after he was ready to sacrifice himself so that Fallen could be killed. And it wasn't even out of like a, you know, a noble sentiment, but it's because he wants to stop feeling guilty instead of facing the consequences of facing the consequences of his own actions, which is still Denji's trying to look away from the wrong things that he's done. of course, he's still, saying what he's not at fault at, not at fault for, as also, his sins. But this is a really bad, he's still in a really bad mental state, basically. Which, like I said, I'm not surprised at all. But that still makes me sad. And I just don't know, I keep saying, that, what can happen for Denji to start changing his mindset. But I think it is important to note that literally last chapter I said Asa should not make promises she cannot keep, which was, I'll make you happy. And literally here, obviously I do not blame Asa at all for freaking out and leaving an opening for Yoru to come back. But still, she had nothing to say in regards to Denji trying to take responsibility for his own actions in a really wrong way. It's just that you can't. So yeah, this is once again, this is another proof to me that Denji and Asa are just not a good matchup. Asa is just not equipped to deal with all the trauma that Denji is carrying. And she shouldn't have to, but I feel like I said this last time too, but this is literally the blind trying to lead the blind. Both have adopted coping mechanisms that are not helping them to deal with their trauma in a healthy way. And now Denji's trying to overcompensate. Now that he's like, okay, I've done way too many bad things. Let me just die then. Which is not different, really, from what he was feeling last chapter. Now it's just basically like, okay, well, if I die, then might as well get something out of my death with you using me. So that's leaving me not optimistic at all. For a second, after Asa told him that Yoru was trying to turn him into a weapon, I was hoping he'd actually run. But yeah, of course, I didn't take into account, yeah, of course he'd be feeling still super shitty. The short talk that Asa gave him last chapter, of course it didn't do any miracles. But yeah. What's gonna happen next chapter? I don't know, but right now I'm not believing that Asa and Yoru are dead, so who knows? Also, this guy's still here, so I was hoping he wouldn't die, because I'm like, oh man, then just already feeling the very heavy burden of his past actions. And now if someone dies just because he was around him, that's gonna make it even worse. But like, he's already wanting to die. I don't think it can be worse than that, so I don't know. That's gonna be it for my reaction to the chapter. So if you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe. Till next time, see ya.